Hi everyone, this is Ronnie with Everything Vive, and here I have just a tiny bit of housekeeping I wanted to do before getting to my impressions of this latest game that I wanted to talk to you guys about. And the housekeeping was actually to thank someone out there, a listener from Belgium. His name's Adrian, who tipped us off to a couple of awesome tweaks concerning some stuff that Damon and I had spoken about previously. One of them had to do with scrolling in Steam VR. On that front, I actually haven't had a chance to look into it yet, but if you do end up wanting to search for it, it does look like there's a Steam community discussion out there that kind of talks about some of the scrolling issues in Steam VR and being able to scroll more properly with some of that. So yeah, huge shout out to that. On that front, you should be able to, like I said, Google it if you're having those issues. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. And then more specifically for me, the one that was most relevant had to do with kind of a quick tweak on how to fix your trackpad on your Vive wands. So, obviously a lot of you guys out there that are listening keep up with a lot of the news and things that people are talking about on Reddit and other places. And for a while there were a lot of people talking about, some quality control issues with kind of the pads on the Vive wands and how over time there were certain, there were certain items within the pads that were going bad. I know Damon actually opened up his controller and replaced some of the components inside to fix it on his own. The issue with that obviously is that, not that most of these wands are under warranty anyways at this point, but, you can damage stuff. It can be complicated to open up the controller. It didn't look like necessarily a super easy, straightforward process to me. So you do want to be careful with that. But if you are having issues with your trackpad, something that you might want to try is actually as simple as just squeezing a portion of your controller. So kind of right above, if you look on your Vive wands, the little section right above where the pad starts, where the menu button is, if you take your thumb and your index finger and apply pressure just on the side right there, kind of in between the back portion of the controller plastic and the front portion, if any portion of your trackpad became misaligned and that's what's causing it to not work properly, by squeezing it, you should be able, you do it lightly, and you can find, you should be able to find some information about this online, but you just kind of lightly squeeze on it, and if it is misaligned, you'll kind of hear a slight crack, like almost like you're cracking your knuckles. Like, I'm not saying use a ton of pressure, just a little bit, and if it does make kind of that snap back into place sound, then go ahead and push on your pad again, and it should be able to function properly now. And this is a huge lifesaver to me because, like I said, there was a portion of my pad that just felt stuck, and that was what was causing it not to function properly. And after doing that quick trick where I just applied pressure on the sides of the controllers like that and snapped it back into place, it now works perfectly. So I did want to give a shout out to Adrian and kind of at least give, especially with the scrolling information, for people that are having issues there and care enough about it to go and try to get it resolved. People have, looked into those issues, and there are some fixes out there. So thank you so much, Adrian, for your help. It definitely helped me with my controllers, and I hope that there are listeners out there that, might have had issues with their wands and were contemplating trying to open it up. If this can solve the problem, great. It's a lot easier than doing that or having to deal with HTC on getting anything repaired. So, and with that, I want to move on then to the game I played this week. Hi everyone, this is Ronnie with Everything Vive. I'm here just doing a quick solo episode today because I wanted to talk about a game that just came out actually yesterday. The game is called Blind, and it's by Tiny Bowl Studios and published by Fellow Traveler. This game was kind of a surprise to me. someone reached out to me to provide me with a code to kind of try it out, and I actually was very impressed with what I got to play so far. So I wanted to share it as quickly as possible after getting a chance to play it and the game being released, because I think for people out there that are into these sort of games, I think this is a really strong one, and it lends a unique experience that I think is unlike really any other game. I mean, to start out, I would probably categorize this as kind of an escape room type game. Most of the time you're trying to figure out puzzles to get out of a specific room and move on to the next area in the mansion. That's the main location for the game. To give you kind of a brief backstory to get you into what makes this game unique, the story kind of starts out with like a kind of a cutscene that you view that's very stylized of your character, who's a female, driving her little brother somewhere, and she's taking him, and then there's kind of a nondescript kind of like some scary something or other that is in front of you on the road on this dark, gloomy, rainy night, and you crash and you black out. And then your character wakes up and she discovers that she's in this mansion and she can no longer see. She's blind. And that's the unique part of this game, is that for the most part, the environment around you is all black, and the only way that you're able to kind of get glimpses of the environment around you to figure out where you can move is through sound. So the game has a really strong sound design. As part of that, it has a narrator that kind of guides you along the way, and then also tells you, to kind of, pay close attention to different sound cues within the environment. There will be things, throughout the game that kind of create sound. You can stand still, and kind of your breathing almost kind of illuminates portions of the room, so you can kind of get a glimpse of what's around you that way. Or you can pick up objects that you find along your way and kind of throw them in the room, and when it hits or ricochets off of something, that creates a sound wave that then reverberates around the room and lights it up a little bit. And when I say lighting it up, I mean it's still limited in far as it's kind of like a sonar. Think of like a Daredevil, or you've seen probably similar kind of interpretations of what it might be like to see using sound. In this case, the environment is still black, but then you see kind of white shaded outlines of objects in the room around you. And like I said, it kind of goes with the sound that's being made. So as the sound hits and reverberates in the area, it lights up objects around the sound only for a moment. And once that sound wave is gone, your view of most of the background dissipates. There's also like these sonogram. No, I can't remember what they're called exactly, but those kind of old, almost record player like device. I can't. I should have looked this up so that I wouldn't sound stupid when I'm talking about it here, but monograms? I don't know. Those little wind up, big kind of tubular looking like audio devices that are kind of, I would say pre-records. Those are in the game, so they kind of, you see sound coming from those. That's often how that narrator or that guiding voice can kind of talk to you. But yeah, so you're basically using those sound cues to get around the environment and navigate these escape room like puzzles in the dark. And so it really is a unique experience in that, in addition to the fact that just escape room experiences are in and of themselves kind of special in VR compared to normal other types of games that you could play on a screen, because you actually feel like you're in the environment. But this in particular is cool because I can't think of any other way that they would simulate, not being able to see and then also being able to kind of navigate or light the room in this fashion using the sound. There's really no other. If you were trying to experience something like that on a screen, you wouldn't, you wouldn't actually legitimately feel like you were blind, like you were in the dark while you were experiencing that. Obviously you wouldn't be able to see much other than what's being displayed on the screen, but still in your actual environment you'd be able to see. Here with the HMD on your head, it feels completely claustrophobic. When the environment around you is black, you can't see anything. And that really teaches you to kind of rely on that kind of feeling around and rely on those sounds to get around the room. I mean, I legitimately felt like I was disoriented at times, literally trying to feel my way around the environment. And it's a really unique feeling. Like I said, at first it felt a little scary. It felt like, I didn't exactly, I wasn't comfortable moving around the environment because I couldn't see. And that is obviously, something. I mean, you can imagine just like in real life when someone's blindfolding you, or when you're blindfolded and you're trying to move around in an environment. If you've ever, played any, type of game or something that required that, if you can't see, you really feel like you're at such a huge disadvantage. And in this game, you feel that way until you kind of get used to the mechanics of using the item. And then all of a sudden, some of the most useful items in the game are the random knickknacks and objects that are placed in the environment, like books, like little statues, like candlesticks, all those kind of things that normally would just be window dressing on an environment, all of a sudden become useful tools, because anytime you really need a chance to see the environment well, you need to pick those up and kind of throw them on the ground and get a sense of where you are in that room. So again, I mean, this is just a really, really cool game that has a unique take on the escape room puzzle type systems that are found in other VR games, but it uses a mechanic that really is best done and can only be done in VR to let you experience something completely fresh and unique. So this is definitely a game that if that sounds at all appealing to you, I definitely recommend. I mean, I haven't played a ton of the game yet, and there were places that I got stuck for a while and I wasn't able to move forward. Some of that is just me not being exceptionally great at puzzle and escape room games, but I mean, that is something to be aware of, that with any of these types of games, if you get frustrated by not being able to move on, that could potentially, kind of stop you in your tracks from moving forward until you figure things out. The game is new, so there aren't, a lot of people out there that have probably played the game yet to kind of figure out exactly how to solve for all the puzzles and all that kind of stuff. But, most of these games, people will provide that content. There's ways that you can figure that out. If you go to, the Steam store page, or you look up the game online, you're able to get through it. That is something I want to mention, just because this game right now, at the time that I'm recording this, it just came out. It's on sale for $20, but it looks like it's normally going to be $25. For that price, I mean, the production values are great on this. It really is a unique experience. If this sounds at all appealing to you, that you want to experience kind of this dark room, blind type of an escape room type game, then there's nothing else like it, and it's definitely worth the price right there. But if you're the kind of person that's going to get frustrated or stop playing once they get stuck in a room or something, then that is something to consider. Consider the fact that it is $25. So besides getting through the main story of the game, there really isn't much else other than playing the main storyline and getting through all the puzzle rooms. So keep that in mind. But that said, I mean, especially coming kind of out of nowhere, I wasn't really necessarily expecting it. It's certainly very cool, and I could see people really, really enjoying it, especially, like I said, people that are into new experiences and specifically stuff that can only be done in VR. This is something that you definitely want to check out. So with that in mind, I definitely give this a recommendation. Go ahead and check it out. And as always, feel free to leave us comments. We always appreciate, any kind of comments that you can put either on any of our YouTube videos, on any of the live streams that we do, on Twitter, even reaching out to us by email. All that stuff is great. So thank you so much, and take care.